Joining me right now, Sharon's son. She is running for the 3rd District Congress seat, currently held by Eric Paulson. And it was a pleasure to meet you over at the Blue State Ball.
Absolutely. I had a lot of fun, and I want you to know, Matt, that I've been listening to your show since you started coming on from the very first. You're a real asset to our community, and thank you for the work that you do there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Yeah, you, I imagine, got not just, getting some feedback from me, but I imagine you got a lot of feedback from the constituents last night at the caucuses.
Matt, we had a ball last night. It was just, the energy was fantastic. I was just talking to, not long before you came on here, to one of my supporters, and he was just totally pumped, not only about my campaign and being able to beat Eric Paulson, but he came to caucus and met some of his neighbors who shared his interests, and they're going to get together to talk about that and to see how they can continue to push us forward through some of the ideas that they share together. So the caucuses was not just about me, it was about us and who we are together and how we can build who we are, our society, build our communities, and how we can be better together.
One of the things, we actually had a listener call in earlier today, Sharon, and talk a little bit about accountability. And I know you're working for the Democratic endorsement for the 3rd District race, but I want to just talk just one quick thing about Eric Paulson himself, and that there is a tremendous amount of people in his district that require absolutely zero accountability because the man's done basically nothing.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I think most of that is he's still going on Ramsted's coattails a little bit. People are just assuming that because they don't hear much from him and they get a glossy flyer or mailer every once in a while that says all of these wonderful glowing things, that he's doing the right thing. But when you look under the surface, we find that Eric Paulson is voting against everything we value in this district. He voted against fair pay for women. He voted against Medicare as we know it, basically destroying that. And when you cut Medicare, you don't just cut it for our seniors. You cut it for the disabled, for children who need that. So, and then on top of that, he also voted to cut investment in education by 53% from the federal government at a time when our schools desperately need improvement, when we see we have education gap, when we need to be looking at doing more for our children so that we can help, so that they can be a part of creating our future, this man is cutting that. So when we talk about accountability, he does need to be held accountable, and that's what I plan on doing in this race.
Sharon Sund is joining us. She's running for on the Democratic side for the Minnesota 3rd seat. Eric Paulson is currently holding. You have an interesting district, to say the least. Borderline, borders up to the city. Lots of suburban, voters in there. But you also do get out into there are some rural parts, some country parts as well that play an interesting role. Talk about your approach when you look at the Minnesota 3rd of dealing with what is really two very different dynamic sets of constituents.
Well, this is a diverse group. Even if you look at the 3rd as it's laid out now, we have the South, the North, and the West. And some areas in the South were never hit by foreclosures. If you look over in the North, a lot of bank foreclosures. So there's some distinctly different populations even in the urban areas. Mm-hmm. And as redistricting takes place, we may pick up more of the rural areas, but right now there's not a lot of that in this district. It's still mostly majority urban. And now, how will I deal with that? Now, my background as a scientist is one that is appealing to people in this district because the 3rd district has a lot of people that have been in the technology fields. We have a wide distribution of medical device corporations in this district. So we have a lot of educated people, a lot of people that move out here to raise their families. So, and I am also raising my family. I have my children, my husband and I. We live here in Plymouth, and so I have a background that will be able, where I will be able to identify with the people in this district, and the people in this district will be able to identify with me. In addition to that, I have lived in Bloomington and Champlin, and like I said, I now live in Plymouth. So I have been immersed in the district, in the lives of the people in this district, so I understand them from the inside. And so I will be able to identify with them, and likewise.
Sharon Sun joining us. I know you are, when you become, run for a congresswoman position, there's a lot of different, policies and issues that are important to you. We have about a minute left. Give me one right now that's just, right now it's kind of top of mind for you, an issue that you want to be, on the forefront of.
Well, there are a lot of issues, but I would say, number one, front and foremost, we have to create jobs. And for me, as a scientist who's worked in green energy technology, I had the good fortune 30 years ago to be building a prototype battery to store wind energy, and where we could have been now if we had have stuck with that. But we took a different course. And now we have an opportunity to get back on course, get on the forefront of the green energy economy. We can create jobs. We can create opportunities. We can create a wonderful future for our community, our district. But we need to be bold and make a decision to go in the direction of green technology. And that's one thing that I want to push when I go to Congress. Nicely done. You got green technology and also jobs on the same answer. Sharon Sund, running in the 3rd District. Thank you very much. We appreciate the time this evening. Thank you, Matt. And Sharon Sund, SUND.com. Come join me. SharonSund.com. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much, Matt. We are in an election year, folks. We are going to have a lot of politicians on.